This is part 2, episode 210. There were ancient trees everywhere, all of them several hundred jong tall, the leaves bright, leaves and branches swirling about, with many water-jar thick vines coiling around them. It was extremely wild and primitive. Only, it was too quiet. Shahao looked around, everlasting immortal sword in hand, taking precautions in this place and searching about. Suddenly, running sounds could be heard from the distance. Someone else came, a cultivator from the 3,000 provinces who rushed here. Careful! Shahao loudly reminded. The creature that crossed over the desolate border didn't take action against him, instead releasing a strange fluctuation, and then rushing at the newcomer. Ah! A miserable scream shouted, fast to the point where one couldn't react in time. That person died. These methods left even Shahao a bit startled. He didn't cower back, instead rushing over. It was because he knew that there was no way he could make his way around this individual. He could only fight. In this place, a creature with a humanoid body and an elephant head was killed. It was still the same as those before it, bone marrow, inner organs, flesh, all sucked clean, only a layer of skin left. It hung from the vine, fluttering about in the wind, expression pale, a bit terrified. Another cultivator was killed. Peace was returned to this place. That terrifying existence unexpectedly didn't immediately take action to deal with Shahao, becoming silent. However, Shahao had a feeling that there was something eyeing him in secret. At this moment, his entire body went taut, fine hair standing on end, feeling as if he was targeted by some beast from the great wilderness. It was as if he was facing a great enemy. That type of danger sensation made him feel a chill inside. Even though he was taking great precautions, incredibly nervous, Shahao still felt a bit better, not as bad as he had imagined. It was because if this creature was powerful enough, it wouldn't have to observe him, and would instead just directly devour him. What kind of thing was this? Shahao frowned. That creature was actually hiding in the void, unable to see it even with the heavenly eyes. He found it. His eyes flashed with light. The heavenly eyes could see through the fabricated, stare straight at the source. He saw a lump of dark matter in the nothingness. However, immediately afterwards, his eyes felt a wave of pain, scarlet multicolored light erupting, stabbing at his eyes like nails. The scarlet light flashed, and then that creature disappeared. Kai! Shahao brandished the sword core in his hand, hacking behind him. This was a type of instinct, because the fine hairs on his back all stood up, revealing a layer of goosebumps, sensing that danger was approaching. Cheong! Sparks flew in all directions, an expanse of bone texts erased. The blast of light that creature released stopped the sword core, and there was also a wave of scorching pain that surged towards the surface of Shahao's body. This was definitely quite a rare sight. Shahao's full-force attack with the everlasting immortal sword could slice apart the heavens, split the secret treasures of the heavens, yet right now, it was stopped, which meant that Shahao himself was being counterattacked. An expanse of symbols appeared beneath his feet, shrinking the earth into inches, quickly moving out. The ancient trees in front of him turned into ashes, and then an enormous mountain melted into magma, exploding there. In the void, the lump of dark matter hid itself. Shahao's brows were standing vertically, releasing a roar. Golden patterns appeared over his entire body, 100,000 of Kuan Peng feathers flying out, all of them produced by symbols, drowning out that area. That place directly exploded. The 100,000 divine feathers were like 100,000 heavenly swords, hacking apart the void. Finally, that creature rushed up, revealing its original body. It was round like a ball, diameter at least a meter. It was black, carrying burn marks, as well as blood stains. It was an eyeball. When it closed, it hid in the void, difficult to see. Meanwhile, when it opened slightly, the eye released scarlet light like fire, but also like lightning, able to stop all tangible matter in front of it. Meanwhile, at this time, it suddenly opened wide. This entire place was filled with scarlet multicolored light, flooded by blood-colored radiance. There was a wave of deep and thick killing intent, as if he had fallen into a blood-colored hell. A streak of lightning shot out as soon as Shahal raised his hand, shooting out from his palm. Golden divine radiance overflowed outwards, surging like a great stream. Lightning Emperor's secret method. That eyeball spoke with an extremely strange language. Shahal naturally didn't know this language, but understood its meaning through his divine senses. You even know this? Little demon, I know many things. That eyeball said. Hong. The eyeball shone, blood-colored mists rose, unexpectedly stopping the lightning. In addition, the void mysteriously oozed out blood, incredibly terrifying. It was as if the space around Shahal was being crushed, streak after streaks of cracks produced under its warping, blood flowing out from within. Shahal shivered inwardly. That blood could corrode all living things, trapping him inside. He tried touching a bit of the blood that splashed out, and when he made contact, he felt waves of burning pain. Blood pool, reappear, exterminate. Following that eyeball's short shout, the void distorted, producing a blood pool. It was full of corrupted blood, possessing a strange power that was going to devour Shahal within. He finally knew why only a layer of skin remained on those people. They were devoured just like this. Lightning judgment. Shahal shouted. His hand formed imprints, and then all types of precious light surged in the void. Lightning then flooded outwards from between heaven and earth, pouring down in torrents. Then, in front of him appeared a lightning pool that contained all types of lightning radiance. There were Gratian electrical arcs, 5-colored divine lightning, and primal chaos electrical radiance. This was the lightning Tao he comprehended after crossing tribulation several times, directly producing a lightning pool. Catcher. Electrical light suddenly erupted, endless lightning surging, any random bit of electricity from within it possessing destructive power, resisting that blood pool. Finally the two pools rushed together, erupting with world-shocking brilliance. In that instance, nothing could be seen, only lightning and blood, everything else drowned out. Only when all of this faded did Shahal appear again. He was in a sorry state, his battle clothes long shattered to pieces, entire body covered in injuries. His body smashed through several mountain peaks, the jungle itself damaged beyond recognition. Meanwhile, this was only the result of the blast waves. The confrontation, just now completely happened in the void. The lightning pool disappeared, the blood pool also vanishing. In the sky suspended an eye, dark in appearance, its surface now having a bit more bloody traces. It rotated about there, carrying ice-cold killing intent. What a pity, only an eye of mine able to cross over. Otherwise, killing tens of thousands of ants like you wouldn't be difficult at all. The ancient language was cryptic and difficult to understand, however, the meaning was clear. It was extremely unsatisfied, feeling that it was extremely shameful that it couldn't even kill a single heavenly deity-level creature. Shahal was greatly shaken. What was its original form like then? How powerful would it be then? A single eye was like this, it truly was horrifying. He felt like even if sect masters came, they would still be far inferior to its main body. Immediately afterwards, Shahal became even more horrified. It was because he saw that eyeball move, exposing a terrifying injury. There was a broken bronze spear inserted within, already rusted. This? Shahal was stupefied. If not for that bronze broken spear exhausting most of the eyeball's vitality, he likely wouldn't have been able to stop even a single eyeball. If not for this injury, you think you could have acted so impudent before me? That eyeball coldly said. The 7 great kings defending the desolate border are matchless and unrivaled. If they took action, you definitely wouldn't have been able to cross over. Was it just their subordinates that injured you, which is why you were able to luckily escape through the net? Shahao asked, trying to fish for information. 7 great kings. How ancient are those figures? There are still people bringing them up. Ha ha ha. The eyeball laughed loudly, carrying coldness, and even more a wave of killing intent. Shahao's mind immediately sank. Could it be that the 7 great kings were already no longer in existence? Sinner Blood's ancestors, known as matchless kings, they defended the desolate border, misunderstood by the people of the 3,000 provinces. They possessed unmatched achievements, but even in death, they were going to fade away without recognition. Shahao shivered inwardly, feeling a wave of pressure, and even more a type of grief. A powerful emotion was surging. The so-called desolate border is about to no longer exist. We are about to cross over. When the time comes, everything under the sky will be connected. That eyeball said coldly. Less nonsense. Even someone as powerful as you could only send over an eyeball, and even that was nailed by someone's war spear, almost destroyed, yet you still wish to fully cross over. Shahao said, hoping to obtain more information. The desolate border is doomed to decay. This eyeball sneered. Then, it stared into the uninhabited region depths, saying, my injury wasn't obtained in the desolate border, but rather because this forbidden region is too strange. An undying spear stabbed me. There was actually this type of thing. Shahao was shocked. A rusted war spear in the forbidden region actually ended up mysteriously seriously injuring this eyeball. Suddenly, that eyeball no longer spoke, seemingly silently thinking. Then, it abruptly opened its eyes, that pupil an expanse of scarlet red like a roiling blood sea, killing intent even thicker. It said to itself, after being penetrated by this war spear, I rested for a bit, thinking that it would only take a few hours, never expecting that 10,000 years have already passed. 10,000 years. How long of a period of time was this? This eyeball was injured and recovering, entering a dormant state, yet over 10,000 years passed just like that. Shahao sighed. This type of existence was too terrifying, strength tyrannical. Fortunately, it was seriously injured, pierced by the war spear, or else it would have definitely been a great disaster, forever buried here. He couldn't treat this place with normal reasoning. It seems like what you said about the desolate border no longer existing was false. Your side has lost, unable to cross over. Shahao mocked, wishing to provoke the other party, understand more. It was clear that even though this eye was damaged, not complete, it was still an ancient being, understanding what he meant. However, it didn't care, because it had confidence. It wasn't too worried about the desolate border side's matters, saying to itself, seems like they are carrying out the second plan, unable to forcefully break through. Ha ha, Shahao laughed loudly. Youngster, are you acting complacently? The eyeball gave him a glance, carrying contempt, and even more a type of coldness and pity, saying, you should be in sorrow, because after the second plan is carried out, once they cross over, this so-called 3,000 Dao provinces would no longer exist, becoming even more terrifying. What are you even talking about? Shahao really wished to know the concrete situation. When you die, I'll tell your ruined soul. That eyeball said, throwing itself forward. Shahao released a great roar, using all of his precious techniques, fighting a great battle against it. In these past few years, Shahao advanced valiantly. He could be considered an incomparably powerful figure too, yet now, he nearly died. Even though this eyeball was badly damaged, it was still powerful to the extreme. I refuse to believe that I can't kill you. Shahao roared. As for the eyeball, it had long become scarlet red like blood, its entire body shining, distorting the void and making it sink in, completely deform. It became even more angry, unexpectedly becoming weak to this extent where it couldn't even kill a younger generation individual. Cheong. Right at this moment, the rusted broken speak inserted into the eyeball shone, and then erupted with resplendent light, shaking off the rust. A line of ancient characters appeared on its surface, shining brilliantly. Ah! The eyeball cried out, continuously shedding blood. It became entirely scorched black, as if it suffered a great blow. I just knew that this damaged weapon of yours was from an immortal weapon, possessing immortal Dao will. It roared angrily. This was also why it couldn't force out this war spear, impaled deeply within this eyeball the entire time. Kill! Shahao shouted loudly. Meanwhile, the bronze war spear was also moving, causing this eyeball to scream miserably, blood flowing outwards. It was splitting apart, about to break in half. The eyeball split open, blood dripping down. That pupil was scarlet red and blinding, scarlet multicolored light shooting out. A short spear moved, continuously moving about to destroy this eyeball. Shahao released all types of precious techniques, shooting them out. He felt like this eyeball was too dangerous, that it was still best to get rid of it earlier. Kai. Corrupted blood splashed outwards in large amounts. In the end, this eyeball was like a bottomless pit, continuously releasing blood, from scarlet red to jet black, carrying a cold and gloomy aura. Ian. Shahao was shocked. A black hole unexpectedly appeared in the void, devouring everything around it. It was precisely formed from that eyeball, its appearance unexpectedly changed greatly. Shahao naturally did everything he could to resist, Willow Deity's precious technique appearing. Several dozen golden branches flew out, tearing through the void and breaking apart that black hole. You even know its precious technique. This eyeball was now clearly shocked. Its expression became cold, pupils deep. Even though it was splitting apart, brilliant radiance was released. It stared at Shahao, saying coldly, "That willow tree hasn't died yet, yes or no?" Hong. Right at this time, the inside of that eyeball was like the depths of hell. There was unexpectedly a door that opened, connected to a blood-colored passage, about to swallow up Shahao inside. It released killing intent, no longer fearing the consequences. It was going to suppress Shahao and then bring him away. Kill. Shahao brandished the everlasting immortal sword. The sword core shone, becoming incomparably brilliant, its imprints all appearing. Someone was ascending to immortality, white mist surging, specks of light falling, incomparably brilliant. Yi, what is going on? This eyeball was shocked. It discovered that the broken spear inserted into its body was frantically shaking, burning because of this, shining brightly. It has something to do with that sword core. It was shaken up inwardly. Even Shahao was a bit surprised. As he brandished that sword, the bronze broken spear seemed to have revived, the line of ancient characters on its surface becoming increasingly resplendent. Don't. The eyeball cried out. It felt fear. Hong. The immortal Dao imprint inside the broken spear exploded, this ruined artifact igniting on its own, thus breaking apart, dragging the eyeball along with it in destruction. Corrupted blood flew about. The eyeball immediately exploded, it was just too fast. The door that was opened naturally shattered, completely breaking down, turning into bloody light, becoming a multicolored haze. This was too sudden, leaving even Shahao surprised. The everlasting immortal sword in his hands pierced forward, perfectly making contact with the shockwave. Ah! A miserable sound rang through the air. Everything became chaotic, this place turning into a region of death. A ruined spirit flew out from the eyeball, smashing against the sword core. As a result, it was immediately blasted into ashes, no longer existing. The radiance disappeared, the mountain forest recovering its peace. If not for the corrupted blood and bronze dust, it really would be difficult for one to believe that an intense battle had just happened here, a terrifying creature previously appearing here. Shahao looked at the sword core in his hands in a daze. This thing was a bit strange, a bit unusual, definitely not as simple as it looked on the surface. This was something brought out from immortal ancient, something that disappeared along with Five-Crown King. It was rumored to have been dug up from an underground ancient mine, a sword core created by heaven and earth. This thing, Shahao didn't say too much. Only after thinking for a while did he put it away. Then, he thought back to that eyeball. The desolate border was unstable, about to become chaotic as expected. This world was going to be covered in the flames of war, the days where blood flowed like rivers not too far off. The path still must be taken. Shahao sighed. Thinking more right now would only make him more worried. The only thing he could do was become stronger as fast as he could. Otherwise, when the true disaster descended, it was useless no matter how matchless his innate talents were. Without the time to grow, even the child of a true dragon would only be regarded as food by others. He began to run, quickly advancing. The forbidden region was extremely strange, with some places that allowed flight, while others had strange natural laws that would hack down people from the skies. This was like a warning, making those who intruded feel reverence towards this area. They couldn't underestimate this place, not allowed to randomly fly. Along the way, he caught up to quite a few cultivators. It wasn't that these individuals were fast, catching up to him, but rather that when the three great supreme beings sent these people inside, some were already millions to tens of millions of li out. However, during this process, he also saw many corpses, their causes of death unknown. They didn't have any injuries on them, passing on unnaturally just like that. He didn't want to look into these matters. He didn't have time to waste. If he looked too deeply in this terrifying and dangerous place, he might very well be throwing his life away as well. Suddenly, waves of bloody mist surged, unknown how many corpses appeared on the ground, an absolute massacre. When Shahao hurried over to this place, he stopped. He was less than 10 million li from the 3,000 provinces, yet already continuously encountered danger. It made him shiver inwardly. His footsteps slowed, advancing step by step. This path couldn't be avoided, because he unexpectedly saw large blue stars suspending in mid-air, less than 100 jong from the earth. There were falling great stars at both sides of the road as well. They were the size of mountains, shining and brilliant, dark blue like jade stone. This was a type of marvelous scene, every single star releasing symbols. Stars refined and shrunk by exceptionally powerful individuals, actually so many of them arranged here. Is this a great formation? Anyone who reached this place would be alarmed, their bodies shaking. These great stars were too grand and magnificent. Shahao moved forward, more and more corpses appearing the further he walked. His expression was grave. Finally, he arrived at an important section up front. Shahao saw that there was a female who was also trapped. Streak after streak of flowing light fell from the sky above, pouring down like specks of sand, boundless, crushing the void until everything distorted. There was even more formless sword energy sweeping out. Yi? Shahao was shocked. This sword energy didn't harm his physical body, only attacking at his primordial spirit. No wonder there were so many corpses, not damaged, yet all dead. This was an ancient damaged formation. Even though its damage was severe, it was extremely astonishing. It was, after all, a formation refined by an unmatched great existence with many stars. It's her. Shahao recognized her. She wore green clothes, her figure elegant and refined, like a divine lotus that was swaying about, releasing its brilliance. That was Qingxian, someone who could be called a formidable young expert from the 3,000 provinces. Back then, when Shahao ascended the Void God realm, ascending the Copper Sparrow altar to enter the 3,000 provinces spirit realm, he had met her brother and even fought against him. Qingxian, an exceptional talent of the Lotus race, reputation great, even more powerful than Child of Lightning and Underworld Child. She was a well-known female exceptional talent, ranked close to the front. However now, her body couldn't move, blood flowing out from the space between her brows, her expression full of sadness, the light in her eyes dimming. Shahao wanted to offer a helping hand, but it was already too late. Qingxian saw him, her eyes flourishing with radiance, but she still fell in the end. Truly is cruel. Shahao's face was expressionless. A well-known person from the 3,000 provinces died here. However, this path must be treaded on. He walked forward, activating all types of precious techniques to defend himself. Pu. Blood appeared in the space between his brows, because the most crucial intersection had been reached. That formless sword energy crushed down, attacking his soul viciously. He chanted the true primordial record from his mouth and activated all types of precious techniques, doing everything he could to resist. His mind sustained some damage to his soul, but he still made it through in the end. Catcher. In the sky, a blue-colored great star exploded. That formless sword energy became weaker, no longer being as powerful. At the same time, Qingxian collapsed onto the ground, quickly shrinking, unexpectedly turning into a seed. Rebirth. Shahao was shocked. This woman was unordinary as expected, actually not completely destroyed, transforming into a dark green jade stone-like seed. Please bury me nearby. A weak voice sounded. Bringing you out isn't necessarily better. Shahao said. No, this is my great calamity, and also my opportunity. I can sense the chaotic green lotus aura, true traces left behind by him. Please help me. Qingxian transmitted sound. When Shahao heard this, he raised his head to look towards the great stars in the sky. They were tightly packed, numbering in the tens of thousands, refined by a matchless expert. Chaotic green lotus. Shahao didn't understand. He doesn't belong to this great era, but had previously reached the peak of glory, known as an eternal clear sky lotus. Please help me, there will be reciprocation in the future. Qingxian said. Fine. Shahao said, no longer hesitating. This didn't take much effort at all, planting this sparkling green seed deep into the not-too-distant soil. Then, he continued on his way. 5 days later, a purple bamboo forest stood in his way. White mists surged, as if he had entered the immortal realm. Along the way, Shahao didn't see anyone, only he alone reaching this place. When he saw this scene, he felt quite shocked, vaguely sensing immortal Tao energy. This forbidden region is sinister as expected. Why do I seem to sense the atmosphere of an immortal's home? Shahao was on his guard, but still continued forward. When he entered the purple bamboo forest, heaven and earth spun about, the scene changing greatly. All types of multicolored light rose, with primal chaos surging. This was a world of its own. White mists wafted about, the mountains and rivers refined and majestic. Immortal birds flew about, auspicious beasts roamed. Everything changed. This was a different world. Shahao saw a few creatures that should have been extinct in this great era, long turned into legends. Chileen cub. He saw a young lady carrying a white chileen in her bosom, treasuring it greatly, smiling and teasing the little chileen. He saw an immortal phoenix, who turned into a young lady wearing 5-colored precious clothes. She descended on a shining spiritual mountain, extremely peaceful. Then, Shahao saw a young man, whose body carried immortal energy, on his back a precious sword made from radiant immortal gold. He walked in a free and unfettered manner, advancing valiantly. What kind of place did I end up in? Shahao was amazed, because he felt as if he had entered a land of illusion. However, his divine senses told him that those were true experts, not fake. What was going on? Could it be that there were small worlds left over from the immortal ancient great era that were unharmed, people from that great era still alive? Did he just happen to discover the entrance and enter? White-colored immortal mist pervaded the air, spiritual mountains towering one after another, all of them shining. The various ancient medicines had grown for several hundreds of thousands of years, the sweet fragrance wafting about. Shahal was a bit stupefied, not understanding what was happening. He walked forward. Someone was calling out to him. The woman formed from an immortal phoenix slightly opened her red lips, carrying a bright and beautiful smile as she said, "Where does brother come from?" 3,000 Dao provinces. Shahal replied. "Have not heard of it before, perhaps a true immortal cave." She smiled gently. "If I may, what is this place?" Shahal asked. "Naturally an immortal residence, vast and boundless. Brother came to participate in the distinguished meeting too, right? Many young geniuses have gathered, all the outstanding talents of different clans, coming here to interact. We all have something to benefit from this." That immortal phoenix transformed young lady said. Shahal opened his mouth, a bit speechless. What kind of place did he end up stumbling into exactly? Then, a few youngsters hurried over, all greeting each other without any hostility, incredibly peaceful. These people looked like they were aloof from worldly affairs. Shahal was in a bit of disbelief. He personally pinched the young Chilean beast the young lady was carrying, as a result discovering that it was real. That white-colored little Chilean rolled its eyes at him, rather discontent. Am I sleepwalking through Immortal Ancient, or has Immortal Ancient reappeared? Shahal was stunned. This video will end here.